All right, welcome back to Q Source. This week in the Northeast Wake discussion guide. On the podcast today, I've got our one and only Clay Campbell, Flush. Flush, good to have you here with us.
It's good to be here.
All right, so if you've got your books with you, we are reading. We're coming out of Chapter 5, F5, Foundation Preparedness, and I'm so glad that Flush volunteered for this chapter. We were having a talk after one of the SLT meetings, and he came up to me and said, "This is the chapter that I want to discuss. It's meant a great deal in my life. It's made a big difference, and it's something I lived personally." So I'm so excited that he'll be able to share some of his personal journey, some of the tips and tricks and wisdom he's gained along the way, and hopefully start to get you thinking ahead of your group discussion. So Flush, real quick, before we jump into our discussion, for the folks that maybe won't have time to read it, there's a couple of key quotes from the chapter I think really set this up. Author makes a point that F3 is an organization of leaders rather than an organization with leaders, and that we call our leaders Qs, and the Q is a leader who takes responsibility for the outcome. And it makes a big difference for how our organization is able to organically grow and continue to exist. And the point is made that the Q must gradually but consistently accelerate his preparedness. And preparedness is a deliberate and sequential process. The book has 4 quadrants about this preparedness. Essentially, this is a book about preparing to be a good leader, preparing to be a virtuous leader. And it's broken into four quadrants. Quadrant 1, as we'll go through next, will be the get right. Quadrant 2 is to live right. Quadrant 3 is to lead right, and then the final quadrant is leave right. But it all starts with this concept of preparedness. So Flush, I'd love for you just to share from your journey what this has meant for you, how this has changed your life, and hopefully pose some questions to get our PACs thinking for themselves.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to this, Money Pit. So for those of you that don't know me, I moved to the area about 2.5 years ago from Chicago suburbs. Joined F3 about 5.5 years ago. It has made a huge difference in my life, and specifically when we talk about things like preparedness, I think it's important to mention that I'm diagnosed ADHD. I was diagnosed in college. I grew up with it. I lived, went to high school, went to college. In college, things started falling apart because all the things that I had kind of relied upon, like winging tests and not really, getting my homework done on time. I would be that kid that's like finishing the homework answers in the hallway before he turns it into teacher type of behavior. And it only got me so far in my life. And it's when things started to fall apart that I didn't have my affairs in order, essentially, to prepare myself for my day, that it really started to break down. And I wasn't able to be the best version of myself. So that was just a bit of a wake-up call for me in college, in law school. There was no way I would have made it through law school without turning that piece of my life around to really start being more prepared for my day, for an exam, for my studies, for my life. I had a choice where I could have taken a position as an attorney when I passed the bar to be a divorce lawyer, however you feel about that, or to take a different role that would have brought me closer to my now wife. And that was a decision. That was a decision that I was able to make maturely because I was thinking about preparing for my life ahead. Like, what kind of life do I want to have? Do I want to live in the city where I'm, assisting people in some really dark places, but probably, not really focusing on my own welfare, kind of getting right first before I could live right. And so those were some just really micro decisions that were really important, but together led me to a place where I started to think much more intentionally, strategically around being prepared. I've become a planner as a result of that. Do I like it when things deviate from my plan? No, but that's also part of preparedness. In this chapter, right, the author talks a lot about preparing for the known, but then also being able to respond to the unknown, those things that you can't always anticipate. There's always going to be those things that throw your plan ajar, whether it's a Q or it happens to be a Monday morning.
Well, Flush, I'd be remiss if I didn't insert the famous Mike Tyson quote which is everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
That's right. That's
And
right. And
that's
so
where your training kicks in. That's where preparedness kicks in, right?
it is. It is because you're, at F3. I actually was trying to explain to some of my coworkers last night. I'm here in LA for a sales meeting all week, and I explained to them that you just approach your day. You are prepared for your day differently when you post at F3, right? When you have that workout first thing in the morning and you're doing bear crawls, or someone's telling you, you need to do 50 burpees or whatever it is, call the order of the queue that day. It's probably going to be the hardest thing that you tackle that day. Right. And that prepares you. Everything else that comes and follows from that day is going to seem like it's downhill, seem like it's a piece of cake, seem like it's a step down, right? Because you've pushed yourself to a place of uncomfortableness in a way to prepare you for the things to come. And maybe it's the next day and the next day, the next day. And then you have iron packs and, you have all these crazy things that allow you to push yourself, but it's so that you can be prepared for all those hard things that you can't anticipate. I was going to mention that, one of the other things to Money Pit that, to me, like 2015, I was kind of, floundering with my job. I wanted a new job. I wanted to be able to do more, have more impact than the place where I was working in government. And I just kind of flailed around in my effort to find a new position that I thought was right for me. And I didn't have a plan. I wasn't preparing myself for the next journey, the next transition. And so that was something that F3 definitely equipped me with starting in, 2019. I started to make my decisions differently. I was starting to get right in my life. I was prioritizing the things that I needed to do in order to be able to, make those changes that I knew were going to be good for me and my family. And so that to me is, I look back 5.5 years, it doesn't seem like it's just blown by, but the way I approach my day, my week, my month, all those things have changed, and there's no one big decision. There isn't this like epiphany where it's like, oh, hey, I'm going to now suddenly get a Franklin planner or personal planner or organizer, and I'm going to just like plan out my life for the next year. It's not that. You have to definitely chunk it, right? You have to kind of baby step it. Even something as simple as just a tip, a family calendar. If you don't have a family calendar, get one. It's if you have a family, it's really important for you as a father, as a husband, as a son to pay attention to what's going on. Understand you've got big events coming up. You've got birthdays, anniversaries, right? Like these are all the things that you should plan for because they tell the people in your lives that they matter, and you have had the forethought, right? The importance that you've attributed to those events in your life and theirs to actually anticipate it. And so those are some really, really important tips.
Let me add something in there. For those of you that don't do this naturally, you might think that what Flesh is talking about will remove the level of or the joy of spontaneity in your life. I want to tell you, it actually does the exact opposite. This level of planning, and we're not talking about being militant about it. What we're talking about is setting a foundation and structure underneath your life. And it's this level of planning that actually allows you to say yes to spur of the moment things. Because everything else is organized and ordered, it's easy to say, let your yes be yes and your no be no, because you have that structure and you know when it's open and you know when it's closed. And now you're not saying yes to things that you can't fulfill on, but you're also not saying no to things that you wish you would have been able to join into.
That's right, Money Pit. One of my favorite things to say is, saying yes to something is actually saying no to other things. And you need to know, you need to be aware of what you're saying no to. Because I think a lot of times when you have that moment of realization, you're like, why did I say no to that? Why did I say no to being on time to my kids, school function? Why did I say no to being, making time for date night with my aunt? Like, why did I say no to any of those things? When you start to really think about it, it allows you to order your life differently and really start to, again, live right. Right. So we talk about, there's get right, live right, lead right, leave right is the 4 quadrants that preparedness is made up of.
And I think the order helps you make room.
That's right.
For the things that you really want. There's things that some of us listening and watching, really want and we've never been able to accomplish. And the only thing holding you up might be just making room for that by putting a few other things in order. But without things in order, then all these other things continue to rob those little bits of time away from you that could empower you to actually do and accomplish the things you really want in life.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Money Pit. There's a piece here in the chapter where he talks about the importance of the sequence, the importance of, right. If you try to skip, do not pass go, do not collect $200, go right to, oh, I just want to lead. Well, have you lived right? And have you gotten right to be able to live right, to be able to live right? And then once you've led right, then you really start to understand how to leave right. It shifts. Right. I think it's hard for, I think, any of us to say at some point in time, you didn't want it to be about yourself. You didn't want it to be ego driven, or you didn't want it to be like, wow, I want people to say, Flush is awesome. But there's a shift. There's definitely a moment in your life, whether it's mortality is looming, where you start to think about how, legacy, you start to think about how do I want to be remembered? How do I want to be remembered? And how do I, bring that about, right? Do I set my community? How do I live third and being able to put all of them in such a place where if something happened to me tomorrow, they're going to be okay. They're going to have a plan. They're going to be prepared themselves. They're going to see how I lived, right?
So really what you're saying is this is one of the most loving things that we can do, is we can put our oxygen mask on first, right? Is that we can get our life in order so that we start to live right, which empowers us to lead and impact everyone else around us. And it starts with us being intentional with some of the guardrails and foundational things in our life.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, that is it. I've probably spent, more time than most people thinking about, mortality and what's going to happen. And it's changed the way that I manage my finances. It's changed the way that I, try to allocate time with my kids. I look at my oldest is 17, and junior in high school, like time's a ticking. There's going to be, I'm trying to plan. Not everybody can plan to go somewhere for spring break, but I'm going to try to make that happen. And because it's important, like I see there's only a couple more of those opportunities potentially where they're not going to be they're going to want to do their own thing with their friends and not hang out with the family and have this opportunity to continue to, impart some wisdom and how to plan and how to be prepared for things in life. And that's our role. That's our job as men, as high impact men, is to prepare ourselves and to train others to be prepared. And so when we talk about F3, we talk about Qs. It's important for all of us to be a Q at some point. It is important for all of us to have a VQ. Is it hard? Is there anxiety as part of that? Yeah. Do I still have anxiety planning a Q? I'm coming up on my 160th Q. Do I still have anxiety the night before my Q? Yes. So Money Pit, I was telling you about this. I'll relay it again for the group. I took the Q at Steel Sanctuary last Wednesday. I knew it was going to snow. I knew getting there on time was going to be a challenge for me. As I was planning the Q and got that all wrapped up, and then trying to pick my music and all these things that are extras you don't have to really have for a Q. But I look outside, I see the snow on the ground. I realize that, I need to get the snow off my car. I need to shovel my driveway. Like, it's going to make my life so much easier in the morning. Oh, I'll just let it, I'll wait. No, I stopped myself. I said, I know that I want to be in bed. I know that it's 11:45 at night, whatever. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to shovel it. And I did. And it felt amazing. And I'll throw you a picture that you can include with the post Money Pit, which goes my driveway shoveled at that time. And so it allowed me to do the things that I wanted to do, which was get to the AO, get everything set up that I had planned for that day for the Q for any that attended. And that's preparedness. Preparedness is when you are making an active choice, right? You're being intentional to say, this is more important. This thing right now is more important than my needs, that my wants, because it's going to allow me to do these other things sequentially, right? It's going to allow me to live right. I got a great workout in that morning. A little bit of fun pushing the sleds, with some of the guys that posted. I was able to, lead the rest of my day right. My M was out of town, and I was, single parenting it with two of the kids, and I had a great day. Like I just look back, and my day was successful because it was keyed off of all the preparedness, all those little steps along the way. Right, the night before, did I get as much sleep as I wanted? No, but it was still a great day. I was able to live my life to the fullest on that day because of being prepared.
Yeah. So as we kind of lead him, first, I want you to hear what his story is really saying. Flush is not saying punt your responsibilities to be an F3 nerd and spend all your time talking about your Q. What he's saying is this preparedness impacts everything you do. And as you start with the beginning of your day and it moves along, it compounds. These little bits of preparedness compound. The fact that his Q went well compounded, and it dominoed into the rest of his day, dominoed into his relationships. Preparedness is something that will domino into all aspects of your life. And so maybe let's just leave him with a question or two, and I'll throw one out. I'll let you, toss one out. My question to you, for you Pax, as you're listening, is, what are you doing now that helps you prepare for the rest of your life? What areas of your life do you feel like you need to add this concept of preparedness to, so that you can hopefully unlock the door to the next season or goal that you have? Flush, anything you want to leave the Pax with?
Yeah, I would say think about. There's several few things that I have done in my past 5.5 years at F3 that I think set you up for success, to be able to make it to the workout, to be able to lead the workout. And you choose. I would encourage you. This is more of just a positive challenge out there. Think about what it is for you. Is it setting your clothes out the night before? Even just like making a pile, just setting that out. That's a small element, small moment of preparedness, but it mentally tells you, I'm doing something because I want to get up in the morning and post. So if it's that, do that. If it's, hey, I'm going to make a plan to go pick up so-and-so because he's going to be my F&G, or this Pax I haven't seen in a while and I want to get him to come back out again. And I made plans. I made plans to pick him up. I will see you at 5:15, because then you're going to get them to the workout, and it's going to get you to the workout.
Right.
Maybe it's that. Just figure out what these little things are that are going to be, a good fit for you to take that next step to be, slightly more prepared than you were before.
That's it. Follow that little question as far as it will take you, because it's those micro steps that we make that compound into a changed life. So, Flush, I'm just so thrilled that you were willing to come share your story, come share your life and your journey with us. Pax, we'll see you this week at the Q Source table.
Thanks, guys. Take care.